Hey everybody, Mike Canales again from the OCTC Healthcare Facilities Leadership Program. I talk about the pathway a lot, and I've had a lot of folks question me about, what is this pathway and why do you keep talking about the pathway? And I find it to be more important today than ever to really stress the need and the importance of the pathway. I'm going to do a little series here, short series, over a couple of reasons why I believe this is so important. I'm hoping you can take these messages and you can put them in your own words or maybe forward these messages on to other folks. The first thing is I want you to just talk about the pathway in general. So, one thing is right now we know that the pathway is really very much how do you get into healthcare facilities management? There are just all kinds of ways in. I've talked to people over the last 30 some years and have come in from every different one kind of way imaginable. And it's amazing how we come in. But the one constant thread about the way people come in is that when they do get into healthcare facilities management, they are now on this massive learning curve. It's this huge learning curve. And I have found that just in the associate's degree, I put so much into that, but left so much on the table. And so it just reinforced in me the idea that there's a lot of reasons why we need this pathway. And if you look down below, what has been my goal is to create a true, genuine pathway that lays down a really strong foundation to build confidence and competence and ownership and really be able to get onto those greater things we need to get onto, right? All those performance improvement opportunities we can do in our profession, in our industry. Many of us get there, but it takes us a long time. And so my goal is to accelerate that. And so I'm going to do a little series here. The first one is really going to be about the building is clinically involved. So what does that mean? Well, we know about the building, especially after the pandemic. Everybody knows the building's clinically involved. But what I want to do is I want to talk about when I was a biomedical engineer, you also had folks called clinical engineers, right? Biomedicals knew how to fix the equipment. Clinicals knew how the equipment worked with the anatomy physiology of the patient. And I'm saying that's where facilities is a big part of us. When you think about the patient vicinity, I want to focus on that, right? So patient vicinity is that area around the patient, that's 6 foot by 7.6 areas defined by code, healthcare code book, the area around the patient. Now, what goes on inside of that area, if you stay focused about it, right? A lot goes on in that area. When you think about all of the surfaces inside that area, when it comes to infection prevention, when it comes to anti-static, when it comes to impregnated material to help keep infections down, there's a lot happening inside that space, right? And then you start talking into medical gas. Oh, we could just go on about medical gas and all the dangers of oxygen and all the different gases that are going on there that we have to make sure we protect the environment and the patient and in that environment, especially when it comes to electric, right? So there's all the specialized electric. We have to keep currents way down, right? Because of the oxygen. We got to keep current way down because the patient is hyper susceptible to microcurrents because they may have openings in their skin, or they could be susceptible to macrocurrents, which could happen as well. And then you get into the ventilation world. What's happening in that world? Clean to dirty, right? You got to flush the patient, laminar flow in some places, and so on and so forth. Maintaining exchange rates and differentials, location of diffusers, and on and on and on. You have that going on in that exact same environment. And then think about all of the life safety things going on there. And I mentioned infection prevention earlier, but again, infection prevention is huge when it comes to the patient. So, then we got the water situation, of course, right? There was a time they talked about sinks being too close to the bed and those little droplets maybe affecting patients who have immunocompromised systems. The building is clinically involved. So while we may not be considered clinicians, and there may not be such a thing as a clinical engineering department, a clinical maintenance department, truly, we are clinically involved. And that's just one reason. I'm going to make the case. 6 other reasons why the pathway is needed, why there's a lot of content here in this role and in this job. And I hope that's just one compelling reason for you to see the need to develop people in a systemic and a more foundational way, working in healthcare facilities as healthcare facility leaders and as healthcare facilities technicians. Hope you enjoyed that. Got a couple more for you coming up.